5 members of a Southern Colorado Sheriff's Office have now been indicted by a grand jury. Thanks for joining us for 9 News, a 5 o'clock show tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles.
And I'm Mark Salinger. Those indictments impact nearly half of the Sheriff's Office law enforcement members there in Costilla County. This follows allegations of assault, abuse of a corpse, official misconduct, and failure to intervene. 9 News first reported on the Colorado Attorney General's office investigating the Costilla County Sheriff's Office back in August. Former Costilla County Sheriff Danny Sanchez and former Deputy Keith Schultz have been charged with 5 counts of official misconduct and 1 count of abuse of a corpse. This is connected to their handling of unidentified human remains found on a rural property in 2024.
Under Sheriff Cruz Soto was indicted last night on 2 counts of failing to intervene, 1 count of third-degree assault, and counts of official misconduct for his involvement in a use of force incident involving a citizen suffering from a mental health crisis. Sergeant Caleb Sanchez and Deputy Roland Riley were also indicted on counts of assault in the 2nd and 3rd degree for their involvement and use of force in that incident. All 5 individuals have turned themselves in to authorities.
That's the district attorney there reading off those charges. According to the Costilla County Board of Commissioners website, after the indictments were announced on Friday, Sheriff Sanchez resigned his position. A public notice posted on the website says a special meeting has been called for tomorrow to consider the appointment of a new sheriff. The board will also enter an executive session to discuss legal advice on the matter.
If you saw smoke in Aurora today, likely it was the wildfire burning on Buckley Space Force Base's property. Aurora Fire says they, plus the police department, were out there helping the base with the fire that was burning east of the intersection at East Mississippi Avenue and South Ceylon Street. Started just before 10 a.m. Spokesperson for the base says the fire is now contained and there is no threat to the base or surrounding community, and the cause is under investigation.
Glad they got that under control, as there's a lot of important equipment there at that base. This is a live look outside now over in Power Field at Mile High. Boy, that was bumping yesterday with the Denver Summit FC having their first home game. Yesterday was another hot day today across the state as we tied yet another record. Meteorologist Jaden Knowles is joining us this evening. Jaden, we're going to see some changes coming later this week, though.
Some big changes. I mean, maybe some relief. Finally, some temperatures and weather that we usually should see for at least the winter months into the early spring months. As of right now, though, temperatures are still in the upper 70s. We're at 77 degrees at the airport. We got up to 79 degrees. That matched that record set back in 1967. Here's your current temperatures across the entire state. Noticing the eastern plains, you're still seeing those warm temperatures, especially down towards Rocky Ford. 89 degrees there, as well as 87 towards Lamar. Satellite and radar, noticing we're starting to see that increase in cloud coverage. That's the reason we're starting to drop our temperature just a little bit here in the metro area, as well as over towards the airport. But I hope a lot of people were able to do this on your Sunday afternoon, at least got in the pool at least. We're still forecasting 80 degrees because we could see maybe a slight surge here in the next couple of hours or so. But we're going to be talking about those big changes as we head into next week. I have more details about that later on in the show.
A woman is recovering after being shot in the leg at a house party in Commerce City. Police say this happened overnight along the 7100 block of Poplar Street. They say there was a house party in the area, then someone fired into the house from outside, hitting a woman in the leg. She is expected to be okay. There's currently no suspect information. We'll continue to look into this and bring you the latest updates as we learn them.
Denver police say they've now identified and contacted everyone that was related to a deadly shooting in downtown Denver last night near 17th and Glenarm. Nobody has been arrested, though. Denver police got a call about a shooting in a very busy part of downtown at about 6:40 last night. Sun was still out. One victim later died at the hospital. It's not clear, though, what happened before the shooting or if these people involved knew each other. DPD said last night they detained a possible suspect, but again, as of today, they're telling us there have been no arrests.
In a different part of downtown, a city block in Rhino was closed to traffic today, just like it used to be. That same block was closed for nearly 5 years during COVID. Then it turned into a space for public gatherings, things like that. Then 1 year ago, it reopened to traffic.
In the months since it reopened, advocates have been trying to prove people want that space back. Here's 9 News reporter Janelle Finch.
Larimer Street between 29th and 30th closed to cars for an entire afternoon. The people that organized this block party hope to see it like this more often. To ride down Larimer Street between 29th and 30th
Happy Sunday!
required 2 wheels or less.
It's freeing.
The block was closed to traffic, not just for a party, before a purpose.
This is how it should be with people, not just another block where the vehicles are moving and parking.
Andy Cushion hasn't forgotten what Larimer Street looked like for nearly 5 years.
There are whole businesses that moved into this block when all they knew was a pedestrian plaza, when all they knew was space for people.
The street closure lasted up until last year. A temporary permit for the public space was granted during COVID and expired without renewal. The Business Improvement District Board chose not to pursue a permanent street closure permit.
Everyone knew that this was the spot because this was the only place on Larimer that you'd want to go directly to that was different than anywhere else.
Spencer McCullough wanted to remind people of what was lost.
We're trying to reignite, those memories, create new ones, and remind people what this can be.
He's hoping to give the space back to pedestrians, bikers, and public transit riders.
We want to start saying, this is what we want the block to look like. This is what we're pushing for. What is it going to take? Who's responsible?
It brings out people, as you can see right now.
Christina Garcia sees the vision. She came out Sunday to support the return of the closure.
We have to keep advocating for these type of streets just by doing it.
McCullough says the decision lies in the hands of the city, Larimer Street business owners, and the district board. He might not be a stakeholder with a say in the final decision, but he hopes he can show people want to continue conversations around the future of Larimer.
People remember that this was here, people miss it, people want it, they're hungry for it, and that the community is willing to do a lot of the work.
A critical mass bike ride kicked off the event, further promoting the hope and the advocacy for safer streets around Denver. In Denver, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
We reached out to the city today for their thoughts on if they may reinstate that road closure permanently, but didn't hear back. At this time, there's no sign that they're even looking at that or that it's even on the table.
It was a big weekend for Denver's new professional women's soccer team. Fans shattered attendance records for Denver Summit FC's first ever home game. And we've been loving so many of the special moments that came out of the game, like this one.
How old are you? All right. I'm 9. Nice. Soccer? Soccer? I play defense.
Oh, I love it! You want to take a picture?
Yep.
I saw one on Wednesday. That was awesome.
Put your arm up.
Oh my God.
So that was Carson Pickett meeting a young fan in the stands who also has a limb difference.
And
it's
how cool is that?
It is so cool, and the representation of women playing, women with a woman with a limb different. There's a lot going on for these little girl fans right now.
Yesterday was literally history, right? To have the NWSL come to Denver and have their first home game and seeing the impacts that it made just on day one is so exciting. And to think about all the impacts that they'll make for the years and years to come is really cool.
Yeah, a lot going on. It's really exciting. People who went yesterday say it was just an absolute blast. And we're going to hear from that young fan in the video later tonight on 9 News.